Living beyond the mind does not mean rejecting thought altogether. Rather, it means understanding its limitations and learning to move beyond them. The mind is a powerful tool, one capable of problem-solving, imagination, and deep reflection, but it is not meant to be the master of your experience. True wisdom comes from knowing when to engage with thought and when to step back into pure awareness, where life unfolds in its raw, unfiltered form. When you transcend the constant noise of your thoughts, you stop living in reaction to the past or in fear of the future. Instead, you exist fully in the present, where true life happens. Imagine waking up each day without being weighed down by yesterday's regrets or tomorrow's uncertainties. Imagine approaching challenges not with frustration or fear, but with a calm, grounded presence that allows you to act with clarity and purpose. This is the essence of living beyond the mind, not detachment from life, but a deeper engagement with it. By cultivating this awareness, you develop a newfound appreciation for even the simplest moments. A conversation is no longer just an exchange of words, but a profound connection. A walk in nature is no longer a mere distraction, but an experience of deep harmony with existence. Every moment, no matter how ordinary, becomes an opportunity for peace, presence, and joy. This shift is not an abstract spiritual concept. It is a practical, tangible transformation that brings richness to your everyday experience. The inner observer's role beneath the ceaseless chatter of the mind, beneath the anxious thoughts, the fleeting emotions, and the ever-present inner dialogue. There is something deeper, something untouched by the noise. That presence is the inner observer, the silent witness that has been with you since the beginning. This observer is not your thoughts, not your emotions, not even your personality. It is pure awareness, watching as the drama of the mind unfolds without ever being caught in it. To understand the role of the observer is to understand the essence of consciousness itself. When you pause and observe your own thoughts, something incredible happens. You realize that you are not the thoughts themselves, but the awareness noticing them. You are not the anxiety, the self-doubt, or the fleeting bursts of joy. You are the space in which these experiences arise and dissolve. This realization is liberating because it means that no thought can define you, no emotion can truly control you, and no belief can limit who you are. One of the simplest ways to connect with your inner observer is through mindfulness, taking intentional moments throughout the day to step back and watch your thoughts without judgment. By doing this, you create distance between yourself and the mental noise, allowing you to see your thoughts not as absolute truths but as passing events, like clouds drifting across the sky. This perspective grants you incredible freedom. When you no longer identify with every passing thought, life becomes less overwhelming. You can move through challenges with grace, knowing that beneath it all, there is a deep, unshakable stillness within you. That stillness is who you truly are. The illusion of control. The human mind is obsessed with control. It plans, analyzes, and strategizes in an endless attempt to shape the future. We convince ourselves that if we think hard enough, worry long enough, and prepare thoroughly enough, we can force life to unfold exactly as we want. But this is an illusion, one that causes unnecessary suffering. Think about how often your carefully laid plans have unraveled in unexpected ways. Life rarely, if ever, conforms perfectly to our expectations. No matter how much we try to predict and control outcomes, the world remains unpredictable. And yet, we resist this truth, clinging to the belief that we can impose order onto chaos. But the harder we try to control everything, the more we suffer. Anxiety, stress, and frustration all arise from this futile struggle against the nature of existence. True peace comes not from controlling life, but from surrendering to its natural flow. Surrender does not mean passivity. It does not mean giving up or refusing to take action. Instead, it means accepting what is outside of your control and focusing only on what you can influence: your actions, your mindset, and your presence in the moment. For example, if you are preparing for an important presentation, you can rehearse, refine your delivery, and present your ideas as clearly as possible. But you cannot control how others will react. Instead of obsessing over their response, you can release your attachment to the outcome and trust that you have done your part. When you embrace this mindset, life becomes infinitely lighter. You stop wasting energy on things beyond your influence and redirect it toward what truly matters. Ironically, this shift often leads to better results, not because you force things to go your way, but because you are acting from a place of calm and clarity rather than fear and desperation. Letting go of the illusion of control is not about abandoning responsibility. It is about working in harmony with life instead of against it. And in that harmony, you will find a peace that no amount of mental effort could ever provide. Breaking free from mental conditioning, every thought that arises in your mind feels like your own. But have you ever questioned where it truly comes from? We like to believe that our beliefs, values, and perceptions are self-created, but in reality, most of them have been imposed on us since childhood. Family, society, school, culture, media. All of these forces shape our thinking, programming us with specific mental patterns. They dictate what we should value, what we should fear, what paths we should follow, and what to reject. While this conditioning helps us navigate society, it also limits us. We continue to live by inherited beliefs, even when they no longer serve us. But here's the empowering truth. You are not bound by this conditioning. You can break free. The first step is awareness. Start observing your recurring thoughts and beliefs. Write them down. Then ask yourself a simple yet powerful question. Where did this come from? If a belief does not serve your growth or happiness, why hold on to it? As you begin to uncover the roots of your mental conditioning, you will likely find that many of your thoughts stem from childhood experiences or societal norms rather than personal truth. The key to liberation is replacing limiting beliefs with empowering ones. Instead of thinking, "I'm not smart enough, try. I am capable of learning and growing." Instead of believing, "Success requires endless struggle," adopt the mindset of, "I can find joy and ease in my work." These small shifts, when practiced consistently, create massive transformation. Imagine a life where your actions are no longer driven by fear, societal pressure, or self-doubt. A life where you define your own path based on your authentic self, not outdated programming. This freedom is not a fantasy. It is your birthright. The power of silence is more than just the absence of sound. It is a gateway to deeper self-awareness, a space where the mind's noise fades and clarity emerges. In today's world, filled with distractions, endless notifications, and constant mental stimulation, true silence has become rare. People avoid it because in silence, they are left alone with their thoughts. But this very space, which so many fear, holds immense power. When you immerse yourself in silence, even for a few moments, you begin to notice something incredible: the gaps between thoughts. These gaps are not empty. They are filled with pure awareness. In those moments of stillness, the mind quiets and something deeper emerges, a presence that is not bound by worry, analysis, or judgment. This is why walking through a forest, sitting by the ocean, or gazing at the stars feels so peaceful. It's not just the beauty of nature. It's the silence within you that these moments awaken. Bringing silence into your daily life is easier than you might think. Start small. Set aside just 5 minutes a day to simply be. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and let the world fade away. Feel the rhythm of your breath, the subtle sensations in your body, the stillness beneath the surface of your mind. Thoughts will come, and that's okay. Instead of engaging with them, simply observe them as they pass, like leaves floating down a stream. Over time, these short moments of silence will expand, influencing your entire day. Conversations will gain depth because you are no longer rushing to fill the space with words. Decisions will come with greater clarity because they will emerge from stillness rather than mental chaos. Silence does not disconnect you from life. It connects you more deeply than ever before. When you embrace silence, you no longer live at the surface level of existence. Instead, you access the deeper, unshakable presence that has been within you all along. Detaching from the thought stream. Detachment does not mean ignoring or suppressing thoughts. It means seeing them for what they are: temporary, ever-changing, and often irrelevant to the present moment. Most of the time, your thoughts are just noise, repeating past events or worrying about future scenarios. They pull you away from the now, the only moment where life truly happens. To detach from the thought stream, start by simply observing your thoughts without judgment. When a thought arises, notice it. Don't label it as good or bad. Don't fight it, and don't try to control it. Just let it come and go, like a cloud drifting across the sky. The practice of observing thoughts without identifying with them is the foundation of mindfulness. And in this gap between you and your thoughts, you find freedom. The more you practice detachment, the more you realize that thoughts are just one small part of your experience. They do not define you. They do not control you, unless you let them. By letting go of attachment to thoughts, you reclaim your presence, your peace, and your power. You stop reacting impulsively and start responding with clarity. Instead of getting lost in the endless stream of mental chatter, you become the observer, watching from a place of stillness. When you master this, life transforms. You no longer feel at the mercy of your mind, tossed around by every passing thought. Instead, you remain centered in the awareness behind the thoughts. And in that awareness, you find something truly profound, a calm, unshakable presence that is who you really are. The observer behind the thoughts. If you are not your thoughts, then who are you? This question lies at the very heart of self-discovery. The answer is both simple and profound. You are the observer, the silent witness to all thoughts, emotions, and experiences. Think of your mind like a movie screen. Scenes of joy, fear, hope, and doubt play out before you, constantly shifting and changing. But you are not the screen. You are the one watching it. The thoughts and emotions that appear are like characters in the film, but they are not you. You are the presence that notices them. This realization is incredibly liberating. It allows you to step back from the chaos of the mind and see it for what it is, a collection of fleeting images and narratives. Imagine sitting in a theater, watching a dramatic film unfold. The emotions in the movie may be intense: love, loss, excitement, fear. But you remain seated in your chair, unaffected by the story itself. This is the same with your thoughts. You don't have to react to every scene that plays out in your mind. You don't have to believe every anxious prediction or every self-critical thought. You can simply watch, detached and at peace. Once you recognize yourself as the observer, a shift happens. Instead of being lost in the endless chatter of the mind, you begin to see the space between thoughts. In that space, you find something deeper than thinking, a stillness, an awareness that has always been there. This is your true self, untouched by the mind's noise, free from its judgments, and at peace regardless of external circumstances. When you live from this awareness, life becomes lighter. You no longer feel enslaved by your thoughts. Instead, you reclaim the power to choose which thoughts to engage with and which to simply let go. The mind as a survival mechanism. Your mind's primary function is not to make you happy, it is to keep you alive. For thousands of years, human survival depended on anticipating danger, solving problems, and avoiding threats. This is why your mind is wired to constantly scan for problems, even when none exist. Think about how often your mind fixates on what could go wrong. It replays past mistakes, imagines worst-case scenarios, and worries about things that may never happen. This is not because you are broken or overly negative. It is simply your brain doing what it evolved to do: protect you from threats. The problem is that in modern society, there are no wild animals to flee from, no life or death situations in our daily routines. Instead, the mind turns this ancient survival mechanism towards social pressures, work deadlines, and imagined fears. It treats minor inconveniences as threats, triggering stress responses that no longer serve you. It's like having a fire alarm that goes off every time you burn toast, constantly alerting you to dangers that aren't real. And just like with an overly sensitive alarm, trying to silence it forcefully only makes it worse. The more you try to stop anxious thoughts, the more persistent they become. The key to peace is not fighting the mind, but understanding it. Recognize that your mind is not your enemy. It is a tool, but a tool must be used consciously. By practicing awareness, you shift from being a prisoner of your thoughts to being their master. You can choose which thoughts are useful and which are just noise. You can acknowledge the mind's warnings without letting them control you. This shift in perspective allows you to reclaim your power and live with clarity and confidence. Instead of reacting to every fear and worry, you become the calm presence that guides the mind, rather than being led by it. Why you've never truly thought anything. Here's a bold truth. You've never truly thought anything, at least not in the way you might believe. Thoughts do not arise from nothing. They are not original creations of your mind, but reflections of the world around you. Your experiences, your environment, the media you consume, and the people you interact with all shape the thoughts that pass through your mind. Your brain is like a sponge, absorbing information from countless sources and rearranging it into what you call your thoughts. But if thoughts are merely echoes of external influences, then who or what is the thinker? This question has puzzled philosophers and spiritual teachers for centuries. Some suggest that the mind is like a radio, tuning into different frequencies of ideas and information. Others propose that thought is a collective phenomenon, something we all share and contribute to, rather than an individual possession. Understanding this frees you from the pressure of having to figure everything out. You realize that thoughts are not something you need to control or take so seriously. They are like passing clouds, constantly changing, impermanent, and ultimately harmless. And when you stop clinging to them, something remarkable happens. You tap into a deeper intelligence beyond thought, a presence, a knowing, an awareness that exists even when the mind is silent. This is why some of the greatest insights in life don't come from thinking harder, but from letting go of thinking altogether. Clarity, creativity, and wisdom emerge in moments of stillness, not from the endless chatter of the mind, but from the quiet space behind it. The illusion of thought ownership. Have you ever stopped to question where your thoughts come from? Most people never do. We live under the illusion that we are the sole creators of our thoughts, that every idea, worry, or random memory is uniquely ours. But the truth is far more mysterious. Thoughts appear seemingly out of nowhere, yet we claim ownership of them. Why? Because we have been conditioned to believe that thinking is something we actively do. But in reality, thoughts are more like visitors. They come, they linger, and then they leave. They do not define you, nor are they entirely under your control. Consider this. Have you ever tried to stop thinking? The harder you try, the louder your mind becomes. This is because thoughts are not something you produce. They simply happen. Recognizing this shifts everything. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness watching them. This realization is life-changing. When you stop identifying with your thoughts, you create space. Space to observe, space to choose, space to simply be. You no longer feel trapped by the constant chatter of your mind. Instead, you recognize that beneath all the noise, there is a calm, unshakable presence, and that presence is you. Final thoughts living beyond the mind does not mean rejecting thought. It means recognizing thought for what it is, a tool, not your identity. It means shifting from being lost in your thoughts to being the observer behind them. When you understand this, life transforms. You are no longer ruled by self-doubt, fear, or mental noise. Instead, you navigate life with clarity, peace, and a deep connection to the present moment. The greatest gift of all is the realization that you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them, and in that awareness lies your true self, still, infinite, and free. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. See you in the next one.